Hi, and welcome back to Living Inspired with Autism. My name is Antoinette, and I am mom to my own autistic son, Max. And I'm also a certified life coach for parents of autism. Now, this is a space for parents who are raising incredible children while also learning how to regulate themselves, take back their power, and create lives that feel more calm, more intentional, and more their own. So today we are continuing our emotional skills series. We are on episode 3 of this series. So in the first episode, we spoke about identifying your emotions. And in the second episode, we spoke about allowing your emotions, not fixing them or avoiding them, just allowing. And today, we are going to be talking about indulging in emotions. Now, indulging sounds a bit negative, but just remember, this is just about awareness, not judgment. So what does indulging in emotion mean? So that means it's staying in emotion in a way that keeps you stuck. So last week, as I said, we spoke about allowing your emotions. And this week, we are speaking about getting stuck in them. And a lot of you fear this one because you say to me, you're feeling this emotion, or this incredible negative emotion, and you're scared to feel it because you're scared to get stuck. But there is a way to get out of it. It's when the emotion is no longer something that you're just feeling. It's something that you're feeding. So this looks like looping. It looks like replaying. It looks like living inside a conversation or something that's happened. And I'll go into a little bit more detail just now. So, for example, say now you had an argument with your best friend. You will do this kind of thing. You will loop. So you'll keep going back to the conversation, back to them. What did they say? What did I say? You're replaying the conversation or what happened step by step by step by step. And then you're living inside it. You feel that emotion every time you bring up this conversation or you think about it. You feel all the emotions. So let's take another example. For example, say now your kiddo has had a really difficult day and maybe there's behaviors or whatever in public, or somebody makes a comment and you feel hurt because you thought that somebody would understand and they didn't. Now that hurt feeling, that is a completely valid response. It's human. But indulgence looks like you replaying the moment over and over again. You think about what they said. You think about how unfair it is. You think about how hard your life is and people should understand. And before you know it, you're like in this downward spiral. Now, feeling an emotion is healthy. That's what we spoke about last week. But staying there and feeding it and building a story around it, that's indulgence. Now, I'll tell you a story. One of my friends, her marriage wasn't the greatest, and she ended up landing in a psych ward with some mental issues. She's fine now, though, and later, her husband left the country to go work in another country. And while he was there, he cheated on her. Now, he told her about it. And of course, she felt hurt. She felt betrayed. She had all of the feelings. But then she also did a lot of indulging. I mean, years later, after the fact, she kept going over and over the story and how she felt. Now, that's what we call indulging. Now, why do we do this? It feels justified. It feels so true. All these things that we've gone through, it feels true. And sometimes it even feels good, but not in a positive way, But it's a familiar way. It becomes our story. And I want you just to think on this. Every story that we have, be it positive or negative, gives us something that we want. So I want you just to think about it. It could be sympathy, it could be pity, it could be attention, it could be validation. Just something to keep in mind. Now, there are certain emotions that we get very practiced at feeling. Now, for many parents, it's worry, overwhelm, self-doubt, frustration, guilt, and the list is long. And what happens is our brain gets used to those feelings, even if it doesn't feel good. But it gets us in a loop, gets us in this familiar loop, because you've felt it so many times, it becomes our default. So instead of feeling the emotion and sitting with it and moving through it in a healthy way, you stay stuck there because it's known, it's predictable, and it's oddly safe and maybe even satisfying. So let's take one example. Let's take worry, for example, because this is a big one. We worry about our kiddos' future. We worry about school. We worry about their development. We worry about everything. And it feels like if you worry, it means you're being a good parent. But I want you just to think back on what I said before. What does that worry give you? Worry doesn't actually help you. It just keeps you stuck in fear and pulling you out of that present moment. I typically don't worry about Max's future because I do what I can today or this week or this month. And sometimes if someone brings it up and maybe I think about it, I feel like it doesn't serve me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't plan for his future, because I do. I have got a trust in place. I think about various different scenarios and I plan for them. But I don't spend a lot of time indulging in the worry. And you can care deeply without living in the worry. And you can love your kiddo like, to the moon and back without staying in that fear. You can feel the emotion, as we spoke about last week, and not stay there. So how does indulgence show up? It might look like this. Replaying conversations over and over and over in your head. It could be blaming yourself constantly. Maybe you made a mistake and you keep blaming yourself, or you could have done something differently. Thinking this is just how my life is, because you're not going to be doing anything if you think you are stuck. Comparing your kiddo to others, or sitting in frustration and not thinking of a way forward. And again, listen, no judgment. Just be aware of when indulgence shows up. Indulgence will keep you in that loop, because what that looks like is the same thoughts, the same feelings, and the same reactions. Now, I remember my kiddo used to scratch a lot. He's a lot better with that at the moment, but he used to scratch. If a kid came past, he would grab the child. And I'd always have the same thoughts about it. It's like, he shouldn't be doing this. And why is he doing this? And what could I be doing differently? And the same feelings. Maybe it is frustration and humiliation and embarrassment. And then the same reactions. I would grab him. I would speak sternly to him. So you see, I was in a loop in that situation. Same thoughts, same feelings, same reactions. And no movement, no growth, no figuring out how to get out of the situation. No shift. Indulging in emotion doesn't serve you. It doesn't change your situation. It doesn't support your kiddo. It doesn't move your life forward. And it doesn't feel good. Why do we stay there? Because moving out of indulgence requires us to feel something different, something that's unfamiliar, something that's uncomfortable. Because some emotions are so familiar because we've indulged in them every single day. It's just easy to stay in that emotion that it is to feel a different emotion. For example, you can be feeling worry instead of going to uncertainty, an emotion that you're maybe not that familiar with. So it's easier to stay maybe in frustration than to feel that sadness. It's easier to stay in blame than to take responsibility. Your power is not in avoiding emotion and not in indulging in emotion, but in allowing the emotion and then choosing how to move forward. And this is exactly the work that we do in my one-on-one coaching sessions, because what I often see is you're not stuck because of your kiddo. You're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're stuck in a pattern of thinking and feeling. And no one has showed you how to get out of it. So when we do the one-on-one sessions, we uncover that. We look at what emotion you're sitting in, how it's being fueled, and how to move out of it without forcing or suppressing anything. So when we do this work, clients will often tell me that they didn't even realize that they were doing it. And suddenly there's space to actually feel something different. Clarity, relief. So if you're ready for that kind of shift, a once-off session is a beautiful place to start. Okay, so how do we move out of indulgence? First step, notice it. Just become aware that you're in a loop. The same thoughts, the same feelings. Become aware of that loop. Step number 2, interrupt it. You don't have to freak out about it, but just figure out with curiosity, what is this doing? Is it helping me? Step number 3, allow the underlying emotions, because often underneath that indulgence is a more honest emotion. If you do the deeper work, often it's something like sadness or fear or grief. Just let yourself feel that instead. Step number 4, you get to choose your next step from intention. Instead of thinking, I can't believe this is happening again, you might shift to, this is hard, but I can handle it. Instead of thinking, this is just my life, you might shift to, this is what's happening right now, and it can change. Indulgence keeps you in the past or stuck in your story. Presence brings you back to the now, and now is where your power is. You don't need to stop feeling your emotions. You don't need to become positive all the time. You just need to stop living inside the ones that are keeping you stuck today. So, today, just notice, where are you lingering? Where are you looping? Where are you staying longer than you need to? Now, next week, in the next episode, we're going to be talking about your willingness to feel discomfort. If this episode resonated, please share it with someone who might need to hear this perspective. And if you're ready to step out of your emotional patterns, those are the ones that are keeping you stuck, I would love to support you. Because remember, you're not stuck, you're just in a pattern, and a pattern can change. All right, my friends, I will see you next week. Bye.